Welcome, everybody. We've got Sleep, Nimbus, and XGem up here. All team members from the LEU, the Lucid Esports United. We're going to do our first podcast here. I believe we're calling it Axie Dream State. Is that what won?
I think it's the one that won the Twitter raffle, yeah.
Welcome to Axie Dream State. You guys voted for the name. I'm going to let everybody from the team kind of introduce themselves as much as they want to, and then I think we'll get into kind of our mock patch notes and where we think the game's going to go, and I think that'll be an amazing amount of conversation from there between the three of you guys on all that. Nimbus, if you want to kick it off and just kind of introduce everybody on this first podcast here, who you are and how we all came together a little bit.
Yeah, sure, guys. So so if you guys don't know, my name is Nimbus. I'm a Axie Infinity content creator. I got into Axie July right about when...
no.
Huh?
You're good. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, I got into Axie Infinity right before the last season started, or like beginning of preseason. So I've only been into since late July. Started off breeding, and then once I had enough Axies, the prices of Axies were kind of crazy, so I decided I should try out the game because it looked fun. So I got into Axie Infinity, and then I started streaming, became friends with XGem. XGem hooked me up with a sick build. It was the first garish team on the ladder, the first double backdoor garish poison team. And like the day I got it, hit rank 10. That was my peak. And then yeah, I've been making Axie Infinity content. It's been a blast. And then eventually, while I was streaming, Rand hosted me. We connected, and then I got onboarded into LEU.
That was a pretty random. We're like, oh, let's check out this Nimbus channel and see what's going on. And then we were like, man, this guy's good. We need to reach out and see what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, XGem, how did you get involved? Any backstory you'd like to share about yourself and how you got involved in Axie Infinity?
Yo, so can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was like just searching around a lot of like crypto games and then found Axie Infinity that's pretty interesting. So I started playing, and then at the beginning I was pretty into like poison builds. That's why I was like keep making on my own. I didn't stop breeding, which was like kind of stupid. That's why like I didn't have a chance to like make some extra money, I think, off like the early stage. I got in at June, and then somehow like the double poison build became really famous and then bring me like to the top rank 1, and then I guess everyone start to know my name from there, including Nimbus, and then that's how Nimbus got me into LEU too.
That's what's up. Did you play any other games before Axie or anything, or?
Yeah, I did, but those games didn't come out quite well.
Got it. So Axie you kind of fell in love with this year.
Yeah.
That's what's up. Sleet, what's your kind of backstory? How'd you find cryptocurrency and Axie Infinity?
So my brother was in the space for much longer than I have been, at least in crypto. And he told me, because like I'm more of a gamer by nature, he told me to check out this crypto game. And at first I was like, what is this? This just looks like kind of looks like a Pokemon ripoff. But then as I explored a little bit more, then I actually decided to kind of give it an actual go. So I'm glad he actually gave me that extra push. Initially I started out as a breeder only. I bred for profit. And along the way, I decided to invest a little bit more into an actual PvP team because I was playing essentially pretty much a value floor team to about 2k MMR. And I think that's about when Nimbus actually showed up, when I bought my first PvP team, which had an early archetype of the Immortal Plant. And I climbed up to rank 11 with that on the on season. And yeah, I think that's where Nimbus found me, and I think the rest is history. Yeah.
That's what's up. It's kind of funny how it's all come together. Like, I feel like all of us just started playing Axie Infinity this year. Nimbus, when did you start playing Axie?
Like late July.
Late July, yeah. So I think everybody started. XGem, when did you start Axie?
started mid-June.
Wow. Okay, so we all got in this summer. What does everybody think about like current prices? Let's dive into it. Current
All
prices
right.
of SLP and AXS. What do you guys think?
I think it's a byproduct. Okay, so obviously we like just for like people that aren't like that kind of just got here. Axie prices used to be like crazy high. Like I think to buy like a 90 like 4% plant, like a basic plant, like we're talking Sirius, Cactus, Pumpkin, Carrot. That's like the plant every breeder started out with. Pretty much that was like a $700 Axie back then. If you got your hands on like a 100% plant of like that plant, you could sell it for like 1 Ethereum. So these plants were like mad expensive, and people realized that you can make some crazy money off this game, right? Like SLP was 20 or 30 cents, 30 something cents. AXS shot to like $80 from $4. Like it was super lucrative. And then I think we're just cooling off from the bull run, honestly. But like the prices have gone down. Like everyone's been like flooding Axie. Um, and I think it's mainly because one, everyone's been breeding for profit, and now like breeding's not really profitable unless you're in like unless you have like crazy money to get into like the super high tier builds. And SLP's on like a steady downturn, and I think it's because the way Axie Infinity is structured right now, the only way the economy like goes up is if we keep getting more and more people, and it looks like right now we've run out of people to onboard.
Makes a lot of sense. XGem, what are your thoughts on like breeding and stuff? Do you continue forward?
For breed, I'm not that good into like, I didn't dive that deep into breeding stuff because all of my Axies I've been like founding them in the marketplace. So because for me, breeding something that I want, it's kind of takes too long for me to like figure out how to breed it. That's why I usually just find Axies in the marketplace. But after I meet Nimbus, like he's pretty good at breeding, so maybe later on we will like work something out together to like see what we can make that's not in the market. Yeah.
That's what's up. That's what's up. And Sleet, do you do any breeding or just competitive play or?
Currently I am actually looking to breed my next season stuff already. Yeah, so that's already in the works. I've been shopping for floor Axies, seeing if the genes are good enough, and planning on breeding my next archetypes within the next few days, actually. I bred a lot. When I bred for profit, I tend to stay with popular and safe builds. So whenever I bred, it wasn't necessarily for PvP, at least last season, because I essentially wanted something that generated cash flow. And if you breed things that are like too random and too niche, you might not get this like the amount of traffic that you want. So yeah, it didn't go so hot when you breed specifically for PvP, and it ends up being not a very popular build. So yeah.
Yeah, and just to interject, I think it's because there's not enough. Like most of the people buying up Axies right now are managers, usually because they have the most cash flow. So managers don't really know what PvP is for the most part, or like they don't know how PvP actually works. So that's why these builds never really get bought up.
That makes a lot of sense. Do you think, Nimbus, like a lot of the Axie sales right now are going towards managers and scholar programs and not necessarily like people searching for like the higher esports?
Yeah, exactly. Like look at how many like rimps or like we all know rimps aren't really good, right? Like you've never seen it like anywhere near the top, like the top of the ladder. But like rimps are like there's like a bajillion rimps. Like everyone's like seen a rimp, right? Same thing with like the cactus, carrot, Sirius, pumpkin plant. Like we all know carrot's like a really niche card, right? But it's like the most common plant you'll see. And even the backdoor birds, like again, you don't see this in high elo, but like backdoor birds are like the most popular birds.
And also going off that point, when you go to like say you breed PvP, it's like what is your target audience? It's like the people trying to push during the ladder season to top 1000, right? Because anyone that falls out of that category, say if they're 5000 and above, maybe they're not actually trying to push too hard. So who are the people that have the money? The people that want to push and they have the cash flow to do so. So when and also not everyone's going to be running the same build. You are competing different PvP builds with other people, seeing which is essentially the most meta or best against the field, and those would get the most traffic. So your target audience for PvP breeding is actually extremely small. Whereas if you're going for manager programs, they have maybe 50, hundreds of scholars. They're going to need Axies for all of their scholars. So in that regard, like the population difference for what you're breeding ends up being very different as well.
Yeah, and then another thing is going back to like not enough cash flow. Like these PvP teams when they're first discovered, especially, they're extremely lucrative for breeders because they're also really expensive. Like when the double backdoor team first got introduced, I'm pretty sure each one of the reptiles are going for like an Ethereum each, right? So like now it's a lot more affordable because the gene pool starting to get like diluted. Everyone can breed it now. But like before, you'd have to at least fork up like 2.5, 3 Ethereum, like to have like a chance of winning pretty much.
Do you feel like that's going to continue in the future? Like you know, the Axie assets that are competitive at the top levels will have kind of like a premium cost to them.
I think it's not sustainable unless they keep rebalancing the game. But eventually, there's always gonna be like a finite amount of builds in the game, right? Once every build is discovered, all the gene pools will eventually get fleshed out, and the prices of competitive Axies will become extremely accessible. But we're not there yet. Especially like if they never add any new genes to the game from like here on out, eventually each gene line will get like fully fleshed out, and you'll be able to get like D1, R1, R2. All three of like the genes for a move will just be the same for every possible move you want, and then from there you'll just mush two Axies together with like that are close enough, and you're bound to get one of them. So eventually, when all the gene pools get fleshed out, competitive Axies will be like the floor price pretty much, plus like a breeding fee, from what I'd imagine.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I think I can agree with that assessment as well.
Yeah.
XGem, what are you most excited for? Like, what are on your patch notes, your mock patch notes? What would you like to see?
You mean the changes in the game?
Yeah.
Well, actually, I'm not sure if they're gonna. I heard that they, like some people saying they might just release like the patch with the V2 battle together and then leave it like this for now.
You heard that?
Yeah, somebody said about it, but yeah, there's a lot of people like saying different stuff. So yeah.
Wait, what is Battle V2?
The new update for battles that's coming out.
Yeah.
Riddle me. Explain more. What do you know about that? Who knows about that?
Okay, so if we like check the battles V2 or like you guys have probably seen like the teasers for it, right? Let me see if I can pull them up and send them over to you, Rand. They've been like leaking battles V2 since like June. So what they're planning to do is pretty much rework the whole battle system. Here's a link.
I've seen some clips where they were also gonna redo all the cards and release some new parts.
Yeah,
and stuff.
yeah, they're redoing all the cards, releasing new parts, redoing like PvP. If you can just pull it up for the stream to see. But yeah, like here's an example of what the battles V2 Axies are. So like just by like looking at these Axies, we can identify some parts. Whenever you have it up, Rand. All good.
This one right here?
Yep. Let me just see. Oh, one second, double check. Exactly, yeah. So that's battles V2. Okay, so if you can just enlarge in that, please, Rand. Great. Okay, yeah. So if we look at that, so if we look on the left, this is presumably a beast axie, and the way we can assume that's by the ears.
The ears.
Yeah. So if you guys see the ears, this is like a beast
Mhm.
part. So this is probably what beasts are gonna look like now. They look more like animals. And if you look at all of the moves on it, we can't identify any of those, right? So these are probably all new cards that are going to be in the game that we don't know about yet. And then so this is like a testament to like them adding new cards into Battles V2. And then if we look at the purple Axie, which is a reptile, it shows that they're going to be keeping some parts also. So if we look at the ears, those are already in the
eye.
game. The eyes are already in the game. The mouth, we have no clue what that is. And then if you look at the horn, that's probably bumpy or overgrown keratin. And then the back is presumably Croc or Nile Strike. And then for the
Yep.
tail, we have no clue what that is. So, and then on the right are the chimeras that you guys see in adventure mode. So this is what Axie Infinity is going to look like. And they have it on their roadmap dated for end of Q4. So by end of the year, this should be how what the battles are looking like. So all the Axies we have right now are probably going to become obsolete. So this is probably going to drive the price up like crazy. I just wonder how they're going to get breeding. How they're going to introduce new Axies for breeding. Does that mean there's going to be new origin Axies? Like how are they going to introduce these new moves into the gene pools?
And what is that going to do to the cost of these older acts? Like, is it going to update old NFTs, or are people just going to have to? These are going to be like obsolete Axies in the future. How is that going to work?
That's the tricky part. I don't know what they're planning to do because like it's kind of a bad situation all around when you think about it. Like either all the people, maybe that they introduce like the Axie sync that we've been theorizing, where you can burn your old Axies, change parts on them, and that'll help you keep your Axies up to date. Or like maybe these become like vintage Axies, like kind of like Origins, where they're like V1 Axies or something. They've also talked about having battles V2 and V1 existing at the same time. So maybe these Axies will be limited back to V1, and then V2 will be like where we all kind of slowly migrate over to. It's all speculation right now.
Wow. Your thoughts, XGem?
Yeah, I think for the Axie right now, there's like flooded in the marketplace. It grew like crazy this past month, I guess. I think I would like to see how they like kind of do something with these like floor Axies, I would say. Because basically no one is buying them. They're just lying there and they're driving all the whole market down, as I see.
Because they
So-
become useless with the changes, basically. Like, you can't really
Yeah,
earn with
so-
them in PvP. And
You cannot even do PvE with them, some of them. So these floor Axies are like the floor price of Axies, so it will just keep driving everything down. And there's a lot of them because everyone is breeding.
that makes a lot of sense. What are your thoughts, Sleet?
Yeah, I'm not really exactly sure how Battles V2 is gonna come out. I've heard about like how they might introduce new moves into like the current gene pool, just like suggestions on it. Maybe have it come in as a mutation on some things, making it so that people have to breed to force that move into into existence. But I have no idea how the implementation of V2 or what the battle system will even be like. Like there's already some hints of moves that will be in the game, but not in the game yet, as evidenced by the move Cattail. It says like you draw a card when struck by a bug, beast, or mech card. We don't currently have any mech cards in the game, so just by hints like that, it's like we know that there are probably future moves coming. It's just that how will they decide to implement it? I would also like to see a burn mechanic for floor Axies. Again, I'm not sure how they would do that, but I think for the health of the game, I think that would be maybe the quickest fix. I'm just not sure what the incentive would be for burning Axies, but essentially that would keep SLP flowing and also keep the floor price a little bit healthier.
Yep.
Do we think there's like too much SLP coming into the economy versus players at this point as well?
like
100%.
yeah, 100% yes, but like it shouldn't be this way. Like there should be more uses for SLP to keep the coin or to keep the tokenomics healthy, right? Like um this has become people's livelihoods. It doesn't really make sense that that there's not really a way to keep it healthy. And I think they might be taking like a little too long because right now the price is down to, let me pull it up right now,
6 cents or so.
6 cents. So like it's been dropping like a cent a day like this whole week pretty much, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's
So
been fairly stable at 8 for like a couple days, and then it
yeah,
started plummeting again recently.
yeah, and that's because there's no like right now like it's like it's kind of structured like a pyramid scheme. Like obviously Axie Infinity isn't a pyramid scheme, but the way it currently works is like a pyramid scheme. Like so the way it works is like people enter the game, they buy Axies, and then they earn they play with the Axies to earn SLP, and then so how the Axies come into existence is people already in the game that are playing the game get SLP, and then they exchange some of it for currency to buy AXS, and then they breed more Axies, and then the people that get into the game probably do the same, and it kind of just keeps going downward and downward like a pyramid scheme. But what's happened is we've come to like to the point where there's too much SLP being printed and not enough people joining, so the pyramid scheme's kind of like slowing down, and because of that, the price of SLP keeps going down as we keep getting more and more SLP in the market, or more SLP in the market.
Sounds so scary to say pyramid scheme.
It is scary to say, but like the way it is structured right now, it's like it's like textbook, right? But like
Yeah.
obviously, I wouldn't be here if I didn't think Axie Infinity wasn't a pyramid scheme, or sorry, was a pyramid scheme. So that's why I'm still in. That's why I'm sticking it through. Right now, to me, this is just like another bear market in crypto. Like I feel like a lot of people flooding right now forget Axie Infinity still is a crypto market, and crypto markets do this all the time. So
Yeah, and like we're at that kind of like bear market point where we're waiting for information and updates and all that, and it's just not there yet. You know,
mhm.
when it happens, it'll turn around. What do you
Right.
think what are your patch notes? Like, you think Nimbus?
Oh yeah, sure. So yeah, guys. So what we did was we got into, or we all, me, XGem, and Sleet all made some patch notes on what we would balance going into season 19. So XGem's peaked rank 1. I've peaked rank 10, but I did not hold that. And then what was your peak, Sleet?
11 on season.
Rank 11 on season. So
No.
we're all like, we've all been to like to the heights of the ladder. We know what it's like up there. So we're all like pretty experienced Axie Infinity players. So this is kind of like some high level insight on what we do to balance the game. Obviously, like we'd love to have someone from the Axie balance team in here, but I don't really know if their information's public. Like we kind of just have Jiho, who's the face of like everything, right?
Pretty much.
Yeah. Does anyone actually know anyone from the Axie balance team?
No, I think
No,
I think they keep that pretty tight-lipped. You know, I don't think any of that's really leaked out. You know.
Okay, yeah, just making sure. Yeah, so I have put it into the group chat, Rand, my patch notes if you want to bring those up.
Got it.
All right, cool. So yes, this is what I would do if I were to balance season 19. And we'll kind of go through like everything for the moves, different classes. So first of all, some general changes I would do to the game. I would remove crits from the game. Axie Infinity is becoming like a serious competitive game. There's become like an esports scene is already developing in the alpha of a game that's already pretty crazy and unheard of, right? And people play this to get like thousands of dollars in rewards every 6 weeks, and I don't think it's healthy for a competitive game with high cash prizes, high tournaments, to have as much variance as crits. So the reason I think crits need to be removed from the game is because it takes away skill from the game and it allows people to win by RNG, especially in tournaments. Like for example, Sleet got eliminated in a tournament. He didn't misplay, he actually played perfectly, but since he got crit he just lost both times. He got crit twice in one tournament. So like when people are playing for money, there shouldn't be this level of variance that's just out of their control. And it's supposed to be like a for fun mechanic, but honestly, I think when you crit people and win, it doesn't feel rewarding because you didn't outplay them. When you lose by crit, it feels terrible because you like sometimes you're in a position where you should be winning and then you just automatically lose. Like it's like let's say like you get crit by like a plant or like some cute bunny on your plant, right? Cute bunny already has 120 base stats. That's like one of the highest damage cards you'll get in the game, pretty much. And then when it crits, it hits you twice. So you're pretty much getting like 2 energy worth of damage for the cost of 1. I just don't think random 1 energy swings help the game. And then, so like if we can't get crits lowered down to 150% or removed, then the next best thing we could do is turn off crits for tournaments at least. And then, so another thing I like to do that I think Axie Infinity doesn't have enough cards in the game, and something that can very easily be elaborated on is just adding like a 2 energy move for each class, and it could kind of be like ultimate moves. Like you save up 2 energy, it's a high risk, high reward move that each class has, kind of like their signature move, right? So like for example, plants have Strawberry Shortcake. Obviously, Strawberry Shortcake can use some fine tuning. But it's a nice example of like a super strong move that gives you even more value than 2 energy for the cost of 2 energy, but you have to dedicate pretty much your whole turn's worth of energy to it. So like for example, Beast can have like a move that like I don't know, puts him into last stand no matter what this turn, something like that, you know what I mean? Like just certain things that can be added to the game to kind of add some more spice. And I think ultimate moves for classes would be pretty sick. And then also the next thing I would do is add a mill function. So again, for competitive games, I think they're the healthiest when you lower the variance and add it up to skill, and it becomes more technical, more analytical, and it's easier to balance too because the numbers don't get fudged. So for example, the mill option would be like, so we draw 3 cards every turn right now, right? So if we wanted to mill, we would discard a card from our hand, and it would let us draw a 4th time. And that would just kind of remove some RNG from drawing cards. And again, I think it just adds more skill to the game when you have access to your full arsenal most of the time. So when we get to like the Axies, that like specific things I balance for Axies, the first thing is for Dawns. So for those of you that don't know right now, there is a subclass called Dawns, and it's what happens when you breed. I think it's a bird and a plant. You have a 30% chance of getting a Dawn. So Dawns have like the worst base stats for like everything. Like they have super low health. Their speed is like a joke. Their morale's bad too. The only thing they have is like high skill, which is super useless. Like when we look at like the Dusk body, for example, which I'll touch on later. Excuse me, the Dusk body has like has like speed equal to an aqua and health equal to a plant. Like it's crazy strong. So I think Dawns need some love. Right now, they're completely unplayable. If you're running Dawn, you're actually just ruining your chances of winning. Like, I don't know. They need something, either more speed or more health. For Aquas, obviously double Aquas are pretty strong, especially in the tournament setting. On the ladder, they're a lot weaker because there's a lot of double plant, double reptile teams that kind of destroy them. But if you know what team you're into, double Aqua matchups are like super oppressive. Like, even like if you're running Beast Bird Plant and you run Watering Can and you get like a 4 energy Watering Can swing, chances are you're still actually going to lose the game to double Aquas. And the main problem is I think it's Koi. I think Koi is what makes double Aquas a little too strong. Obviously there's some cards that double Aquas put on that I'll touch on later, but like from the Aqua class, Koi might be a little too strong. For the utility it gives, it does regular damage on an Aqua, like 110 damage. I think it's 30 shield, which is like, it's pretty normal, right, for a card. But to be able to get faster than birds off of 1 card is kind of oppressive, especially when you manage your hand correctly and you can draw a Koi every turn for like the late game or the mid to late game, and then your Aqua can pretty much just sweep everything because it's the fastest Axie in the game, and the damage it brings to the table is kind of nutty. For birds, I would actually nerf Double Talk. I was watching Elijah's stream a couple of days ago, and he touched on a really solid point. Double Talk is the only card in the game that has no true counterplay, or like no counterplay at all. Like even Gravel Ant, which is like my second most hated card in the game, honestly, has range cards that you can do something about. But Double Talk, you can't do anything about. It's no counterplay, especially if it's on a bird. And it does like a decent damage to be able to ignore shield. Usually going through Double Talk will allow you to one-shot pretty much every class but reptiles and plants. But like if you just get one hit off on a reptile or plant, they get into double talk range from like a full double talk combo, which is like no counterplay. Even if you have 4 energy of shield, you still die to double talk, which I think is super unhealthy for the game. And then Cuckoo. So Cuckoo already gives you 20% extra damage on one hit, which is already really strong for a card. But it also gives you 40 shield, so you can put Cuckoo onto classes that shouldn't have Cuckoo. Then because it's a bird part, they get 3 speed, which usually pushes them over like the speed of everything else in the class, except for maybe like aquas and birds, obviously. So like if you have like a beast with Cuckoo, automatically you don't need a mech anymore to be 47 speed, right? And then Cuckoo gives you 40 shield currently. 40 shield isn't a joke, guys. 40 shield is enough to block almost like half of a skill or a third of a skill. So like if you double Cuckoo, you're pretty much blocking a whole skill for like 0 damage. Plus you're getting a 40% buff on one of your attacks. That's already it's like a crazy swing of damage. So I think like obviously I don't think they should gut Cuckoo. I think 30 shields just to test the water, see how Cuckoo is after that would be fair. Oh, sorry. Going back to Aquas, I did miss Nemo. I think Nemo, 30 damage is too much for a 0 cost that also generates 1 energy. So for Nemo, I'd either lower it down to 20, or I'd move the damage around from 10 armor, to 10 armor and 10 damage. For Double Talk, I'd lower the damage down to 60, maybe 70, but I think 60 is fair. Alternatively, they can make Double Talk not go through like the first hit of Double Talk not go through shield, kind of like how Chomp currently works, where the stun, like the Chomp application of the stun, goes into shield, and then the hit after goes through. For plants, I think plants are in a pretty balanced, are okay. I really don't want to nerf plants too much because traditionally the tank class in the game dictates the meta. I've come from a League of Legends background. I've been playing League like since season 1, and I peaked Diamond 2, so like top 6,000 on the North American ladder. Usually when like plants dictate the meta of the game, and when you over buff or over nerf plants, what ends up happening is they either become the whole meta or they become unplayable because they're too squishy. So I don't want to take away from the tankiness of plants, but what I do want to take away is from their damage. I think tanks do too much damage, specifically with Cactus and Beech. So we've seen, like especially in high elo, the backline or midline plants that pretty much work as a raid boss against your carries, which are like your backliners. And I think they can be reeled in a little bit to keep them more in line. So first of all, Strawberry Shortcake, I think this card definitely has use case if the stats were just a little bit better, especially with Nemo. I think Nemo and Strawberry Shortcake are like a crazy good combo because it gives you 3 energy a turn pretty much if you cycle the cards properly, allowing you to effectively play have a really strong turn pretty much. So I'd give Strawberry Shortcake 40 shield. The stats it gives are already 270 health, but I think just like all the other heal cards, it would be more fair if we gave Strawberry Shortcake 40 shield. Maybe it's a little too much, but obviously they can reel it in after. But I think we should just try and make Strawberry Shortcake viable, and we can explore the 2 energy cost options because I think they can add a lot to the game, and it hasn't been explored yet.
Wasn't not +1 using the Strawberry Shortcake?
Not +1 used it in the 1337 tournament. And then so for Sirius, like I've been advocating for this for a while, and Fleet advocates for it too. Sirius is such a bad card. The only reason you see my Axies run Sirius is because it's literally impossible to get these builds without Sirius. So like it's a huge pain. I think Goda is like a superior form of Sirius. And the reason is because any good player will just count cards and wait for you to will only pass turns when you're hot butted or when he sees both Siriuses, because 1 energy swings are super strong in the game. You lose an energy and they gain 1, or like they get a free hit off pretty much. So obviously you lose that factor through Goda, but I just think I think it's 30 attack, 30 armor on Sirius. It's too little. It's way too little for any like mouthpiece to have just because of 1 energy swing. So I'd either move Sirius up to 40/40 so the mouth is kind of usable, or I just switch my plants out to Goda mouths. But obviously, like you can't get Goda mouths on like anything pretty much unless you pay like a huge premium, like if you're lucky to find it. For Cactus, so these two nerfs here, the Cactus and Beech nerfs, are directly because of the backline and midline plants. Just for you guys that don't know, the tail, it's like a 6 out of 6 purity, or sorry, 6 or 5 purity plant. The mouth is usually zigzag for the extra stats for on the plant body. The horn is either Beech or Biden's. I personally think Biden's is, or sorry, it's Beech or Cactus. I personally think Beech is better because the stats are better. It's 105 damage, 40 shield, where Cactus is 110 damage, 20 shield. But the problem is right now, sorry, just to get back to the build, Biden's on the back, and then it's either Hot Butt or Gravelant on the tail. I think Gravelant is a little more oppressive, or actually a lot more oppressive, but Hot Butt gives you a better early game, but it's preference. And then so that's the build on the backline plants. So for Cactus and Beech, like on these plants, when they get into a 1v1 with birds or aquas, birds they can one shot in like 3 hits, and birds can, like, even if birds have like a double talk combo, they never have enough damage to one shot a plant. So the plants can one shot the birds, but the birds can't one shot them. Same thing with Cactus against like even aquas. If you Cactus, Hot Butt, and Zigzag, that's enough to one shot an aqua through like 4 cards of shield. It's crazy. Like, plants shouldn't be able to one shot backliners like that. There should be like more workaround. I'm personally an advocate of slower games. So like right now an Axie Infinity game lasts like 5 to 7 minutes on average, I think. And I think the longer games go and the less damage is in the game becomes more and more skill expressive and technical. So I'd be happier if damage went down all around the board. Just to slow down the game, and then have there be more turns in the game where more skill can be expressed before Blood Moon hits. So for Beech, for Cactus, I lower the damage down to 90 damage and 30 shield. So again, it's more like buying in more into the role of what a plant should be, which is a tank. So we taking away some damage, giving them some more survivability. Same thing with Beech. I lower the damage to 90-30. And even if we want to drop it down to like 85, I think it'd still be fine, but I think we should add more shield and take some damage away from these two horns. Biden's right now, if you guys don't know, it's a 0 cost plant back. It removes all debuffs and it gives you 50 shield. So with the bonus, it's like 57 shield on a plant for a 0 cost. If you play 2 Bidens, you're getting like almost as much shield as a pumpkin, which is really crazy. It's 2 cards at 0 cost. You can use it to break out of stuns. You can use it to brick wall. You can use it to remove poisons, slows, double talk, status effect, like pretty much everything, except for Gravelant. So I think Bidens should be able to remove Gravelant debuffs, or disable, like card disables. Personally, so I think it would be like more fair if there was some counterplay to Gravelant, like for melees outside of just packing a range card, because not all builds can afford it. And I think it's kind of unfun in a game if you just automatically lose because of a matchup. Like, there's no outplay potential to Gravelant on like Termies. Most plants don't have counterplay to Gravelant. Even a lot of reptiles don't have any counterplay to Gravelant. Like, it's just really oppressive and unfair. And then Hatsune, I like how Hatsune is already 80 shield. So Hatsune can be used pretty much as like a shield card, and then if you're running Hatsune, you can get away with running more damage on like the other parts of your plant, especially the back, because of the 80 shield. So generally, the rule of thumb is for a 3 card play for your plant, you should be able to hit like around 100 shield at least, or else it'll be too squishy. And so Hatsune is like another option for you to put some tankiness on your tail. My problem with Hatsune is I think it does Sleet. You're on Hatsune. It's 60 raw, right, on Hatsune?
Yes.
Yeah, so it's 60-80. So it's a good amount of damage, crazy shield, and then it disables all your range cards. So if you're playing like Bird, it just gets completely like, it's pretty much like Gravelant to birds, because most bird cards are ranged. So I think if it's going to keep the shield, I'd lower the damage. I like that it has shield. I like that plants now have an option to shield through tail. But I just think we should reel down that damage a little bit. For reptiles, wait, pardon?
Do you mind if I interject before you get
of course. Yeah, this is a discussion.
So the thing about plants, I actually have no issues with any of the damage, mostly because, like, you say, like, it can one-shot, like, aquas and birds, but that it's its natural counter, right?
Yeah,
because, like, we're just talking about weaknesses, per se. So if you take away one of the biggest damage, like, cards against those classes, it would make those classes even stronger. because now you have no tools to fight them, but before you actually had some tools to fight them, provided you have certain conditions met, which is essentially being slower
Yeah.
than
So, like,
the aquas or birds. Yeah.
Just to clarify, I don't think we should like take all the damage away. I just don't think a one shot on a tank class really makes sense. Because like if we're looking at like beast versus reptile, or like bird versus what's another counter? Well, I guess birds get one shot by everything, but like aqua versus reptile, like I guess they all get one shot, but like plants can't get one shot. Like aquas have the opportunity to potentially one shot reptiles. But
You
like
say plants can't get one shot. Have you seen Dark Roamer's Double Talk Ronin Bird?
okay, that's fair.
Yeah, you have not
That's
seen that yet.
That's
Because
I'm thinking
that
about
essentially that kills plants 100 to 0.
Yeah.
That's what Not Plus One was using to climb at the end of the season. So
Oh,
like,
okay.
I mean, there were builds that can one shot plants. It's just
Yeah.
that I don't think most of them were explored yet.
That's also
But I mean, that
true.
might be an issue with Double Talk more than
Yeah,
anything else.
yeah, I think that's an issue with double talk. Like, I don't think plants should be able to be one shot because, like, so like I also think like plants, like obviously it would hurt the diversity of like the viability of plants, but I think it would be ideal if plants were stuck in the front because so then ideally they wouldn't get into 1v1s with birds and aquas unless like they got like double backdoored, which will probably get nerfed. But like I just don't think plants should have 1v1 options in the game. Like I think tank should be stuck on the tank role, and have like maybe some bruiser-ish options where like they can kind of deal some damage, but like they shouldn't be like they shouldn't be your 1v1 plant. They shouldn't be your carry threat.
Oh, maybe you just have a completely different outlook on that because
Okay,
I think it's completely fine to
Mhm.
have any class in any role, as long as you team build properly. And I
Mhm.
like that flexibility. I don't
Okay.
like the traditional like tank DPS and like support kind of
Mhm.
roles. I guess. Yeah.
Okay, so like the reason I like that is because I think it becomes a lot easier to keep the game balanced when there's only like one or two places you can put each role. Like for example, if plants and reptiles are stuck in like mid to mid lane or like mid line and like front line, and then if birds and aquas were stuck to like mid line and back line, and then beasts were also like mid line and back line, then like I think it adds like some flexibility to the builds, but then it also makes it a lot easier to keep your um to keep the game balanced, keep all the roles like, in check.
Yeah, it'd probably make the game easier to balance, but I think
Hmm.
it kills a lot of the imagination in the game.
Yeah.
I
No,
suppose.
I can definitely see that, and I agree with that too.
It's a fine line, you know.
Yeah, it is a fine line. But like obviously, like I think off meta builds always have a place in the meta, but I think there should always be like a relatively defined meta.
What do you
But, like,
think, XGem?
yeah, what do you think, XGen?
I think for Nimbus, like point about the lower damage on the plants, I think it could be like better if there's a team of 5 instead of 3. You know what I'm saying? Like if there's a
5v5
5
Axie?
5xe versus 5xe, then the plants shouldn't do that much damage. Because as you
Okay,
say,
yeah, I can see that.
you're
Yeah.
playing League, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
League there is 5 of them. There
Mhm.
are like certain roles of each of them really specific, like which
Yeah.
one does what.
Yeah.
Yeah,
in
if it
here
was
it's
like
only
too
3.
if it was like too balanced, I feel like
Yeah,
you know, like nobody would have like the specialty that they like
yeah,
to
that's
play.
what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So if it's like 5 versus 5 or 4 versus 4, it definitely the tank should be only a tank.
Mm-hmm.
It makes
So,
a lot
yeah.
of sense.
Yeah,
So
that's fair
in
too.
this case, 3 versus 3, you don't have much choice. If your tank doesn't do damage, like your backliner get one shot, actually your game is done. Like
Yeah.
in round 1, like the round 2, those Shrimpinators just take away your bird or your beast, and then your game is done already. You have no chance to play anymore. Yeah, so
It
that's
makes a
what I
lot of
think
sense.
about.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay.
Do you think they'll add more Axies like they have the placement for it? Do you think we'll ever see like five Axie battles? And
5xe, my brain is
5x
gonna
bad.
explode.
Battles V2.
Yeah, like if they added,
2v2.
yeah, if they added like 4 axes, I think 4 axes.
Making a team will like really take me a month, I think.
Yeah, I think if they add 4 I think 4 axes is like a happy medium. Like you have like a support axie, a tank axie, a bruiser axie, and like a DPS axie. Because traditionally there's like the 4 parties, right? So like if we ran like I think if we had like that, then they can even introduce like a whole other like a whole 3 classes for the support role.
Yeah, like the league, just like the league, like
Yeah, yeah. So they can have like two Axies and like a secret class again for the support role if we ran 4v4. Because right now there's not really any supportive Axies, right? Like most
yeah,
Axies, like the
there's
way we
no
build
place for it.
yeah, right? Because there's only 3
Yeah.
Axies. Like each
Yeah, because
Axie
they get
has,
killed so fast.
yeah, they get killed so fast, and then you're down to 3s. And like traditionally, like the way we all build our Axies, like at least especially in the high elo, is like each Axie has to be self-sufficient in a 1v1.
Yep.
So like if there was one more slot, I think we'd be able to like look at a supportive role for Axies, and like because like I'm a huge fan of the card Mint and like Forest Spirit and even Strawberry. Like I think they're such cool concepts, but just right now we don't have a slot for an Axie like that.
That makes a lot of sense. Like I'm interested in those cards too, but it's like, yeah, there's no room to like play that. It's just not
Yeah.
worth it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like the Silence Whisper. I think this card is pretty amazing. But if you're like frontliner
Frontliner
died, then that card will become useless right away.
Yeah, so you're just down in mouth. But like if for
Yeah.
example like if it was like for like 2 Axies in the front, 1 Axie in the middle, which is like our support Axie and like our carry in the back, I think that would be really fun. Or like what's it called? Like one's a tank, one's a bruiser in the in the front. Like just something like that. Then we can have like I'd be so it'd be like it would also add like a whole other layer to the game of like what can potentially happen.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That
But
makes a lot of sense.
yeah.
Do we get to?
I-
Yeah,
pardon?
go ahead.
I was gonna go back to the patch notes, but if there's anything else you want to add on for sure.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, sure.
Hey guys, Nimbus here, and this message is brought to you by Ubit. Ubit is a cryptocurrency exchange made for everyone. Ubit supports Lucid Esports United, and they'll support you too. Sign up for Ubit today and get $10 in free Bitcoin to your account. It's free.
Okay, sure. All right. So for reptiles, what I have is I like first of all, like reptiles themselves, I think are the most problematic body, but like specifically Dusk. So Dusks I think are completely broken. I don't know why they decided to put Dusks like the Dusks have the highest base HP in the game tied with plants. They have the second highest base speed in the game tied with aquas, and then they have resistance to aquas and birds. So like they can't even duel each other. I just don't know why they would add that into the game. Like it's like super hard to kill, super fast, and like it hits like a truck too because they're running reptile parts usually or bug parts. So I would either lower the like they have to pick which subclass Dusk falls into. Dusk should either have lower base speed and it shouldn't be as fast as Aquas, maybe like a little faster than Reptiles, kind of like around the mech range, or like they need lower base HP. Like they shouldn't be as tanky as plants if they want to be. Like you can literally swap in Dusks as plants or swap in Dusks as Aquas, and I think it's ridiculous. And then so Ivory Chop. Like I think the cards for like the concept for Ivory Chop is pretty sick. I think like having a shield, like a bruiser shield damage card is really cool that lets you draw a card. I really like it. But I think the raw stats are too high. Ivory Chop is the only card in the game that gives you 160 raw stats, so 80 attack and 80 armor. It's like crazy strong. I also think subsection for Ivory Chop, they need to patch the bumpy interaction. So for you guys that haven't seen it, if you have Overgrown Keratin and you have Ivory Chop and you play them together, Overgrown Keratin makes you regenerate some shield every time a card's played. So like when you're like if you're getting hit by 4 cards, you regenerate your shield 4 times, right? And so if you play Ivory Chop and Keratin at the same time, each time they break that 20 shield, you draw an additional card. So you can potentially draw like 5-6 cards off of one Ivory Chop Keratin if you time it right, which is completely disgusting. I think I think it's because it doesn't interact like this with other shield effects either. Like it doesn't interact like this with Pumpkin. It doesn't interact like the Keratin doesn't interact like this with Sponge. It doesn't interact like this with Snail Shell. Doesn't interact like this with Jar Barrage. So why should it interact with like it pretty much is like an infinite card engine if you keep timing it properly. And I think that's a little too much, especially if you're running like.
How do you get the energy with that to like play? Like sometimes you have cards where you don't even have the energy to play them. So like what do you run with that to like
more zero cost?
Yeah.
Or are there more zero costs? You like if you're running like even like an energy gain like Cottontail, Nemo, Leafbug, then you can sustain the energy.
That makes a lot of
Wait,
sense.
it doesn't work with Sponge? Are you sure?
Have you seen it work with Sponge?
I thought it does.
Like you get infinite attack plus.
Yeah. And in Snake Jar, I've definitely seen it work twice.
I faced a Snake Jar Bumpy and I didn't see it work.
Huh.
Like, after
because Snake Jar can only activate once per turn.
No. I seen a clip where it actually procs.
Yeah,
twice.
I saw.
Oh, really?
Someone told me it worked, and then I faced it in game and it didn't work. So I'm going off my in-game experience.
Yeah, I just had.
I don't know.
The clip when I find it.
Because I was 3 crafting with these, right? But like I would buy like a Bumpy shield card on like everything if it works. Like Bumpy Snake Barrage, Bumpy Snail.
Yeah,
like,
I
Bumpy
never.
Sticky Goose Snake Barrage. It's just like you can't hit me.
Yeah, Bumpy Snake Jar would be the most broken thing ever.
Jimmy Chrome Axie in the chat says the Bumpy interaction has happened before. It interacted with Carrot and Snake Jar. That's why they had the updated procs only once per round.
Yeah. So Carrot and Snake Jar. Yeah, imagine Carrot too.
Okay.
Like, my god. So yeah, so Bumpy's still buggy. It needs to be fixed. But like, I think they just need to fix Bumpy for everything. Because I don't know like which ones they patch and haven't, but I know the Snake Jar one doesn't work anymore.
Also, fun fact:
Shout out
if
to
you
Jimmy
don't
Chrome.
break the shield
Mhm.
initially, the Bumpy doesn't regenerate shield. So Double Talk actually completely ignores the interaction.
Oh really?
Yes, it doesn't gain shield if you don't break it at first.
Another reason to nerf Double Talk.
Yep.
Jimmy Chrome Axie in the chat again. Thank you for participating. He says to make Snake Jar plus Bumpy work twice, it needs 2 Snake Jar. Before 1 Snake Jar plus 1 Bumpy will result in an immortal Axie. Aha.
Interesting.
Oh my god.
So if you use 2 Snake Jar and a Bumpy,
Mhm.
you're like immortal
Works
that
twice.
round.
So if you ran like if you had like an Axie in the back with just Nemos, and then you ran Bumpy, Ivory Chop, and Snake Jar, you'd effectively have a permanently immortal Axie. Yeah. Wow. Okay.
Oh my god.
Or like
Ah.
Nemo Leaf Bug and like a plant card. Yeah. I really hope that never happens to me. And then so for Cerastes, I like that Reptiles are like the bruiser class. They're not too fast. They're like as fast as a beast, but they deal pretty like respectable damage, and they put up pretty respectable shields. So they're kind of like the in-between class. So I think if plants were stuck to tanks, Reptiles would be the bruisers that you could flex pretty much anywhere. Because you can like theoretically you can put Reptiles in the front. You can put them in the middle for sure, and you can put them in the back for sure. So I think for the damage they deal, they put up a little too much shield. Their shield's getting to the point where sometimes like they can put up more shield than a plant. So I think we should lower the Reptile's shield and give them more of that bruiser identity. So I would lower Cerastes' shield to either 40 or 50. Also, shout out to Fruit Sense. He talked with me over this this list. Fruit Sense is a triple hearts guy on the leaderboard. And then for Chomp, I think Chomp is fine. The stats are fine. It's like 80 damage, 50 shield. So it's not like a crazy amount of either, which I think is fair. And then the Sun Meat is conditional. It's a 3-card play also. So obviously you can loop Chomp with the 3-card draw in like a hand of 5, if you in a hand of 8. But I think that's fine. I just think the problem with Chomp is that I don't think for a bruiser class they should have an ignore shield option. I think ignore shield options like have a place in the game through maybe Double Talk, but I don't think like bruisers would, because like Chomp pretty much gets put on like every class if you want an ignore shield option. You can like run Chomp Pliers, you can run Chomp Double Talk, or like sorry, and like also Chomp chains with itself, right? So like against like the most prevalent examples against Terminators, where you're faster than 1 round, they get the lagging off, they end it off with a Chomp, and then since they had like an 8-card hand, they redraw all 3 cards, and then if they have 3 energy, what they do to kill you is they'll Chomp again, which goes through the stun, Chomp a second time, which go through the stun again, and then they just like allergic reaction. And then all 3 of those hits go through your stun, and then if you last stun, they finish you off with lagging. So I don't think bruisers should have an option to like get through your whole shield next round if they flip the speed. I think it's a little unfair, especially if because it doesn't matter how much energy you have. If they get that combo off, you just die, usually. For Jar Barrage, I like the concept of the card. I like how it's like a pseudo tank move, kind of like anesthetic bait or sticky goo, where like it still kind of deals damage, but it also gives you some tankiness. I like these like bruiser moves. I think bruiser moves are really sick in the game and add a lot of flexibility to classes by moving on bruiser moves. So I would actually buy more into the damage part of Jar Barrage and actually raise the damage up to 100 just because I think it can use some love, and I love the concept. So I think either for Venom Spray we can either remove shield or lower the poison to 1 tick. So Venom Spray is really tricky. It is kind of like the bread and butter to the whole poison class. But I think Venom Spray gives too much value over the course of a game compared to other 0 costs. Like I'm pretty
Alright.
sure. Pardon?
Yeah, I
Oh, yeah.
heard that. Yesterday I was talking with Head 2. I'm not sure if you know about him.
Yeah.
He's like a pretty old like Axie player.
Yeah.
He told me that the poison actually got buffed from 1 tick to 2 tick.
And this is what happened.
When it was 1 tick, it was really weak. That's why they
Yeah.
buffed it.
I love how XGem comes in to defend his poison. He's like,
Yeah, yeah. I was about to
That's
say-
He's
me!
like,
Don't
"I gotta
nerf
speak
me!
up,
Look at
get
my
out of here."
No!
I think if you lower the poison tick to 1,
You're
it actually
kicking
just
me out of this group.
yeah. I think you actually completely delete the move from the game.
Yeah. Okay. So then another thing I was like thinking
Goodbye.
about was like another thing I was thinking about was maybe like reworking the poison system, where like each tick is 1 damage instead, and then it'd be a lot easier to balance out the ticks, because right now 1 damage or 1 tick is 2 damage. So for example, like instead of nerfing Garish down to like 1 tick, we can nerf Garish down to like 3 ticks, and it'll do like 3 damage per stat or per Garish instead of the 1 damage. Alternatively, what I think we can do is like kind of just like get rid of the other stats on
I think remove like the
The
damage and the shields
Yeah,
is
yeah,
fine.
I
Like
think, yeah.
everything, just 0-0.
yeah, like if you remove
Yeah,
damage and
I
shield,
think
that
that's
also be
fun
fine.
as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, but like it gives you like
Just-
kind of raw stats too.
If you imagine it's 1 tick, it actually does nothing. So
Yeah.
actually, the build is like just nothing.
Yeah, the build's dead at
Yeah.
1 tick.
That's true. That's true. Okay. And then so for beasts, like again, I want crits to get removed from the game. So because of that, I would like beasts
Just
to like,
remove
rework.
beasts.
It's just rework them. So like because right now a lot of beast balancing is like moves around crit, right? So like I think this is like again, this is like where I think having 2 energy cost cards come into the game. Like for example, what if Beast had a 2 energy card that applies lethal, and that's what makes Beast really strong. Like, and just for you that don't know, lethal is like the Axie Kiss status effect. So like when you're below 30%, if you Axie Kiss someone, they get marked with lethal, and what that means is the next hit is a guaranteed crit. So like, what if there was a 2 energy card that applied lethal, and then your next hit was a guaranteed crit? And like another thing we can explore with Axie that I would really like to see is body exclusive cards. I really think it would add a lot to like class identities if you could only get certain cards on certain classes. Because right now you just find the strongest class and move cards onto like move the cards you want from whatever class onto that one class. But like what if there were classes that like only had a specific card? Like let's say even just like the 2 energy cards were class specific. That'd be pretty sick, right?
No, that makes sense. I don't know what you guys think, but that does make sense. Like right now, you can just kind of like put any card on any.
But I
Any
mean, this is how like the breeding works. Otherwise, it's not fun if you.
Yeah, I like the flexibility and the
Yeah.
mixing
Oh,
and
no,
matching
sorry.
cards.
So I'm not saying like every part is what's it called? Every part is class specific, but I'm saying like the signature cards would be class specific.
Like,
Like-
how do you define six?
Like let's say the first step, this is which is like this goes back to why I think like classes would be kind of locked into their roles, is because I think like each class would have like an identity and like a specific like area which they cover or like which they have effect in the game. Like for example, like let's say plant cards where like identified as the tanks, then they can have class specific cards that are really strong tank cards, but you can't get them on any other classes, which are kind of cement plants as tanks. But then you could like take other plant cards that aren't like class specific, which add some tankiness to plants, but be able to put them on other classes.
I guess I'm just not in love with the whole class identity thing. Actually.
Yeah, that's
yeah.
Like I think it would add like some really cool like ideas, or like it would add some really cool like variance to the game.
I
Or
like
like
where we're
not
going here.
pardon?
I like where it's going here. I actually
Yeah,
do
right.
like that, to be honest. Like
Yeah,
it
like
solidifies that like plants are tanks. Like, and there is
yeah.
like a reason to have a plant with that card.
Yeah, like let's say for example, like Bugs had a card that actually applied the 2-card fear, and then they're cemented as like the CC class, or like the crowd control class. They're the ones that apply like these stuns and like status effects on you. Or like if Birds had like a card that did like high damage and made them go first every single round, it's like cements them in place as like the fastest class in the game. Or like if Beast had like the lethal effect, or like Aqua's had something that gave them like some crazy burst at like an expense of some of their health because they're tanky and they're fast. Or like they're like the bruiserish bursty class, like something like that. Kind of like it's kind of like their ultimate move that only that class has, and it kind of gives them all an identity. Because right now all the bodies don't really have an identity except for typing. Like they don't like each class doesn't really signify anything.
Does it though? It does like give you like a range of stats you could have.
Yeah,
Right?
but what I mean is like a lot of bodies kind of overlap in stats. Like for
Too much.
example, like too much overlap. For like the only reason like pretty much like in my eyes the way the meta works right now is you identify which classes are getting played, you tech on a body that counters the popular classes that are giving problems in the meta, and then you put on the cards from whichever class counters that also, or like cards that'll cover your bases for the typing, and then you end up with like you just optimize the Axie. There's like it's just like a game of numbers and optimization. There's no like identity behind it. Like for example, like look at like Dusk right now. Like because they have the highest stats, we just move anything onto Dusk. Like we put plant cards on Dusk, we put bug cards on Dusk, we put reptile cards on Dusk. Even now, there's like Rimp beasts that are just Dusk bodies because they're the fastest, right? Like there's no reason not to move all the builds over to the strongest class. Like Terminator started off as Bugs because all the cards are pretty much Bug, and then we just move them onto the Dusk body because that's the optimal body.
Not if it has like not if there's speed conditions like say Kotaro or a lot of the plant cards or a lot of the reptile cards. You
Yeah,
don't
but
actually want it to be on a Dusk.
yeah, obviously, but like Kotaro isn't really playable either way.
Questionable, but
Like
okay.
okay, like Kotaro's like it's all right, but like there's a lot of better mouths than Kotaro usually. Like why wouldn't you play Chomp over Kotaro?
I would say there's a lot of reason to play it over. It just really, again, it depends on how you're building your team.
Yeah, and like but like Kotaro's like a really niche card, but like I guess that's a fair point. Yeah.
Because the thing is, like, yeah, you would want, like, you could put in a blanket statement and say, like, oh, yeah, you want to move everything to Dusk. But I think, like, there's a lot of reasons to not use specifically Dusk as well.
Like for example,
I think I do think that Dusk is overpowered right now.
Mhm.
But the thing is, like, I think what's actually more of the issue is more so that I think that if you give things fixed roles, it kills a lot of the imagination. Because right now, the imagination you say will boil down to, oh, let's just put on a Dusk body. But it's not that simple. Like, I think that bird bodies are actually severely underrated right now.
Yep.
Because they might be there might be slower, but yeah, they're fast. And just looking at again like Dark Roamer's bird, which no one really thought of or at least bred until essentially the end of season 18, that thing is an absolute monster. Because like you see how impressive Koi was, but Koi was a common archetype. But when you put Arco on a bird, you literally have the fastest outspeeding thing in the game.
Yeah.
And that might not actually have counterplay. So it's like in that regard, I would say like it's more issue of the cards more so than it's an issue of the class. But I don't know.
But then like if we look again at like Bugs, right? Bugs have the strongest cards in the game in my opinion. But we never use the Bug body because there's no reason to.
No, I would love to use a Bug. I actually was looking for a Bug to climb with for 3 weeks. It's just that no one breeds them because they're severely underrated. I think Bug typing is amazing right now. It's just that it was so the entire like 60 to 70% of the entire bug market
Mhm.
is essentially anesthetic bait snail shell, because like
The
that was the
discard
previous
bugs,
meta.
right?
Yeah, the discard
Yeah.
bug, and it's
Yeah.
just a graveyard of that bug, but no one bred anything else. But
Yeah.
like one of the most powerful builds was essentially that same build, except that you take out snail shell
Yeah.
and you replace it with a damage back, and that bug is actually super strong in the mid position. And the
Yeah.
typing makes it very, very difficult to kill as well. But the reason why it wasn't played more is because there's literally 10 on the market. Like, and you don't want to pay for like 0.3 Ethereum for something that you're going to use for a day or two. It's just that the accessibility wasn't there, or the imagination wasn't there. But I think like it definitely was something that could have been meta, but it just fell under the radar.
So my thing with bugs is I think their class, like anything you want on a bug pretty much, you just put on a beast instead. Like you'd be better off. And the reason is because like so how it works right now, guys, for you guys that like aren't into breeding and aren't like into competitive Axie, is how it works is there's three subclasses, like there's three classes in the game, or like three archetypes for typing. So there's like so each part of an Axie, like like each part, like the move set and the eyes and ears, gives 3 of the main stat, and then for the so like there's 2 substats, right? So there's health, speed, and morale. So the health classes, one of them is plant, and then the substat you get is so you get 3 health and 1 morale. And then for reptiles, the substat is speed. So you get 3 health and 1 speed for reptile parts. And then so for the speed classes, it's aqua and bird. So for birds, whenever each bird part you get on the Axie gives you 3 speed and 1 morale. And then aqua substat is health. So you get 3 speed and 1 health on aqua parts. And then for bugs and beasts, they are the morale archetype. And then so how it works is for bugs and beasts, they have morale 3 morale for each part. And then for bugs, they get 1 health, so 3 morale and 1 health for part, and a beast get 3 morale and 1 speed. So that's kind of how they differentiate them, and that's kind of like the little like the continuous circle they have. But like all the bug parts, like bugs are too slow to be like really playable. Like beasts are
Have you
fast
seen the
enough.
amount of shield that bugs can put up with
Yeah,
like
I know how
2
much.
cards?
Like I was running Disable Sword for a bit, so I had like I had a bug with it was Sandal, Anesthetic Bait, Parasite, Pincer. I still have it.
Really?
Yeah.
KJR TTV is calling you out. He says, "Bro, top 2 is a bug user."
Yeah, but it's like super. Like, how many people are running bug though?
Yeah,
A lot of
I
people
purely
running
think
bot,
it's
I
because of
right now.
accessibility. I don't know. I'd love to borrow that from you.
Really? Like actually?
Yeah.
Oh, gee, yeah, I can send it. Because I was running
This is
Disable
like
Sword, right?
airmail right now.
Yeah, send me
I
your
don't know.
running
I
link
love
over.
bugs.
Dude,
I think bugs are
I think
super broken.
I think bug cards need to be reeled in, but I think bug body needs some help. Like I think they need either more health or more speed. Cause like my problem with bugs is like yes they have anesthetic bait and like you can tech in um like snail shell or damage, right? And then they can kind of function the same way as a beast. But they don't bring enough damage to like take out the plant fast enough, and their stall isn't really effective in my opinion. Like I think like because right now with the current meta, everyone has a 0 cost. So your anesthetic bait pretty much just burns the 0 cost and like that's it. Like you don't actually really have to worry about the anesthetic bait.
Resta says 3 bug Axies with 2 discards and it's GG.
Yeah, so like I like the concept of discard bugs, right? And again, I have ran the build, but I just feel like there's a lot of better
I
things
think
to
it's
put in the
because you're
midline.
running it specifically with Disable Sword that you had no damage. Because that Axie has no damage. And then the bug
Yeah.
has no support. And then essentially it's all on your frontliner to do damage. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Like-
Jimmy Chrome Axie from the chat. He's been very active. Bugs are actually super strong. That's why in S7 season 17, more than 60% of the nerfs happen specifically on bug cards. Wasn't around for that. That's good.
Yeah, so I know bugs were like the meta before, but I like after the nerf, I just don't think they're as strong. Cause like I'd rather just put these bodies on like these bug parts onto like a reptile.
But if you had them in the mirror, the bug would 100% win.
Yeah, if you had them in the mirror, but like the reptiles are the reason I think bug because like it like so like in my mind the role of bugs is to be like the CC class, right? Like that's like kind of like what they do that no other class can do is they bring a lot of like they bring a lot of like status debuffs, stuns, discards. They're like the only discard class, and then they also bring like slows through like lagging, right? So I just think like if you're running things like this that are like status effects, you want the class to be faster. Like honestly, I'd be happy to
Well,
see
what do you need to outspeed though? Because
reptiles.
you're not
Reptiles
trying
and
to you're
bees.
not trying to kill anything if you're trying to CC, right?
You're just trying to be annoying as a
Yeah,
bug.
you're trying to slow down the pace of the game with discards.
I don't
It
know.
doesn't have to. It doesn't have to outspeed.
I just feel like they get like wiped out by like everything. Like they actually get like literally squished like a bug. Like every time
Wait,
I fucking
how though? They have so much shield.
like let's say like because they don't have enough health to survive like a 4-card combo from a bird.
I've never actually been able to burst down a bug ever.
Really, dude?
with
My
a bird.
bugs get like even through anesthetic bait, my bugs get one shot like all the time. Like for example, like I don't know, like I'm still playing,
Mathematically, that's impossible. But how?
let's say okay, like because like we don't have any
JRTV says how as well.
so like we don't have it like once like traditionally once our frontliners die, we don't have any more energy steal, right?
But the thing is, they should be low on cards too, because if they're investing cards to kill your tank and then you discard them periodically, their hand size is small. They might have energy, but they can only throw 3-4 cards at you max.
Yeah, but you can only discard 4 cards by like round 5, right?
No, the thing is, they play cards, right? And then you discard cards on top
No,
of
I
that.
get that, but like if they just pause bot for what, like let's say you use all your discards and they're down 4 cards, right? What I'm saying is they're only behind like 1 turn of draws. So
Which
if
is
they
a
just
lot.
It's like obviously a 1-turn stall is a lot, right? But like, for example, a Terminator can put up a 1-turn stall too. Like they can stall, but like they don't stall enough for it to be worth. Like usually, like a bug will buy you like 1 turn, 2 turns max.
KJR TTV said 1 turn of draws is 3 cards.
Yes, that's what I mean. So like obviously I'm not gonna go like 1.3 turns, but like so like we round it.
Got it.
Yeah.
So like I would just have to see how you're playing the bug, because like those things are just insanely annoying, and they work best because like a lot of the bug cards are like just chains. So like we play 1 card or whatnot, and then you get cute bunnied, so you lose energy there. But like when you're playing the parasites and pincers to like finish off an Axie, it's like super annoying because you don't want to expend too many cards to kill theirs. So you're like also saving the key cards in your hand, so the discards become so much more potent. You don't want to use Parasite when they're like full HP.
No.
On an
Yeah.
Axie.
So usually I wait for them to burn the plant cards before I start using the parasites and the pincers. Just because like I don't want to just get rid of their plant cards. It doesn't really matter. My bug's gonna kill them anyways, right? But like, because like also another thing is like bugs beat reptiles and plants equal damage to beasts and bugs, and then they deal like reduced damage to aquas and birds, right? Which is like their natural enemy. But like we're getting to the point where like you're starting to see a lot of birds, and birds don't have a problem working around bugs like at all. Like whether it's through double talk or just
I've
through like
always
raw.
struggled killing bugs regardless of what team I use.
I feel like I always like end up one tapping or like.
I feel like the only true weakness is double aqua because they have 2 of them. Because like one can eat the stun and the other one can burst it, but with birds you cannot burst through a full HP bug.
And like another thing you can do with bugs that like I guess like people might not be used to doing is you can just pass when you think they're gonna anesthetic bait, and then you just kill them next turn.
But sometimes you don't have that time.
Yeah. Sometimes you don't
if
have
you're
that time.
if you're passing against the bug,
you're gonna get discarded, right?
You're gonna either get discarded or your midliner ends up dying, and then your bird cannot 1v2.
I just
like you're almost forced to attack into it.
I've never been in like a position where I felt like I had to kill this bug right now, because like again they can only just like, so there's 8 cards in a deck, or sorry, like in a deck per Axie. They can only get rid of 4 overall. So like worst case scenario, they get rid of like 3 of your cards max. 5 bird cards or 5 aqua cards is still enough to kill a bug.
Yeah, 5. But the thing is, it's not a 1v1.
I know it's not a 1v1, but like
right?
Yeah, but like the bug doesn't. And also another thing is like the typing you usually see in the midline, like except for like reptiles and like midline plants, because obviously bugs counter them. Like they can deal with the bug themselves too. The bug, because my thing with bugs is they don't have enough health to be like a real problem. They can always just, you can always just deal with the bug with like everything. Like anything could deal with the bug right now.
I feel the complete opposite. I feel like nothing can deal with the bug.
Really? I feel like it's so easy to deal with
I
bugs.
feel like nothing can deal with the
Jimmy
Maybe-
Chrome says
Yeah.
skipping versus a bug with fish snack and discards makes their raid boss a lot stronger, i.e. Disableosaur. I don't know what that means.
Oh, Disable Sword is a build. It's a build I was. That's the build I was running with my
It's a
bug,
very
right?
common build, yeah. With the,
Yeah, so,
the
like,
discard bug,
I
yeah.
think Disable Sword is strong when paired with a bug, and I think Disable Sword like highlights the strengths of bug the most, right? But I just don't think like bugs are really good, like are really in a good spot right now, like in the current meta. Like bug parts are in a good spot, but like the bug body itself, I feel like there's not really a need for the bug body right now, because like you can put these bug parts onto like anything right now, and then it'll be effective. Like still, like it'll still do exactly what you want it to do, just like with less damage and less shield. But like bugs aren't like the main like bugs don't get their strength from damage or shield. It's like specifically, like obviously people run bug parts to bust through reptiles and plants, right? But like when you're running a bug, you're not looking for like maximum damage and shield. The main sticking point of bugs is the discards, the allergic reaction, and the stuns that they put up, right, against carries. But you could, like those stuns will come through if you put it onto like if you put like anesthetic bait or snail shell on a plant. It'll happen the same way if you put it on a reptile. It'll happen the same way if you put them on an aqua, even if you want to. Like even gravel ants, like you don't see bugs only running gravel ant. Like you just put these cards on more optimal bodies, and then they do the same thing that a bug would do.
Good question from KJRTTV in the chat. Vinipot and you did that. They made a cute bunny antenna on a dusk, right?
Yeah.
So their team balance is very different. So they specifically run a bug in the back for higher damage and also for the speed differential, and they just have Dusk in the mid and front for the extra speed up. So essentially they have staggered speeds for their cute bunnies. That's
Yeah.
the whole idea behind it.
Yes.
But I think I think the bug body is actually completely fine. I don't know. I'll agree to disagree on this.
Okay, yeah,
one.
we can agree to disagree. But like, I just wanted to I just wanted to highlight one more
Yeah,
thing. So like,
it's
I
good
just
to
wanted,
have disagreements like
Yeah, yeah.
this. This is what people want to hear, you know?
yeah. So like another reason why I think bugs is like the reason why I think bugs aren't strong is like because the cards you guys are listing out in the chat specifically, not uSleet, are Cute Bunny, Bug Signal, and then I think the other like two main problem bug cards are Gravel Ant and Garish, right? But these cards are really strong on any class, so that's more of a testament to the cards being strong and not the specific bug body being strong. Like you can run like a completely fine Garish team and have no bug body. You can run a Cute Bunny team without bug bodies, and you can run a you could even run like a discard team without bug bodies either. And same thing with Bug Signal. Like there's really no need for these to be bugs.
You end up losing a lot of damage.
You do end up losing a lot of damage, but they're more control builds with CC anyways, right?
Yeah, but I feel like if you don't go bug, you actually can't beat double aqua.
But to my understanding, without like double aqua is just like a counter to that build without bug anyways, right?
Yeah, it's meant to counter like teams with more bug moves. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, we can just disagree on that though.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. We can talk about this, but we're gonna end up sitting here for too long.
Yeah.
So for Beast, I would have them rebalance around the removal crit, and then I just don't like RNG and like variance in the game like this. I think Beast would be better if they didn't if they weren't balanced around having all this crit. Like right now, like Beast identity, if they had one, would be to like get in there round 1, round 2. Just try and one-shot the tank and then brick wall. So you're or like not even brick wall, but like just die, like spend around dying, so that you can build up some cards and energy for your backliner. That's kind of usually like what Beast's role is, unless they're like backline Beast, which is a little different. But like that's what like the midline Beast does. And the way they're balanced right now is like a lot of the balancing is around like last stand and crit. So I'd like it if they bought more into the last stand identity of Beast, maybe where they're kind of like a berserker class, where like they try and get low health, they try and get into last stand, and then they try and deal like they get like enraged and they deal like crazy damage from there. And I'd like them to move away from crits as an identity for a class. I think it's super unhealthy for a competitive game. For Cottontail, I would raise. I think Cottontail is a pretty cool card, but if Nemo and Cottontail work very similarly, I think Cottontail can use some love, get some armor, even like 10 or 20, or some damage, just like something. So it's not as like just make it like viable, because I think Contail. I think there should be more than like Nemo as an option. I think Contail should also be an option. Or maybe like we can balance it to like Cottontail and Nemo are like two yins and a yang. So like Nemo will deal like 20 damage and Cottontail will give like 20 shield, and then they work similarly. For bugs, I'd actually like to buff the bug body a little bit. I think they can use some base health just to make them more viable. Right now, it's very niche that we see bugs either because like as Lee said, they haven't been explored, or like either they're not strong. For Garish Worm, I'd lower the poison stacks to 1. I think since Garish Worm does 100 damage and 50 armor, I don't think it needs the 2 poison also. So I think we could lower the poison to 1 on Garish Worm, and then it'll still be like a really respectable damage, and also still like apply poison. If I could rework the whole poison system, I'd have each tick give 1 damage, and I'd move Garish Worm down to 3, so it'd have like 1.5 stacks. I think that'd be more fair, but like as it is right now, I think it's better off moving it down to 1. For Pliers, I think Pliers are a really cool card. I like that there's like a shield buster card. I just think it's a little too much for Pliers to deal 170 damage off body. So like if you have like a bird and you run Pliers without any damage bonuses, does like 170. To like plants, I think it's a little too much. I think we can move it down to 20%. And then on bugs, it'll still deal like 170 something. But I think
Then
it's too
it's
much
just
for like
strictly worse than dual blades and every
Albin,
single
not
great card.
Tiger, said so. Kill the plant system or kill the poison system. Got it.
No, I'm not saying kill the poison system. But I would rework it again. That's why I'm moving it down to 1.5. Like you're losing like 1 damage per card play. It's not like Garish Worm is broken right now. We can all agree on that, right?
I think it's fine.
Really?
I
I
think
think
the
one
armor
tick
is
of
too
poison
high.
is better,
I
or like
think-
lower
I think
the armor.
I
Yeah.
think the armor is too high. That's it.
Yeah, I think like something on Garish needs to get nerfed. But like if we kept the raw, I'd nerf the poison. But if we're nerfing the raw, obviously we can keep the poison, right? But like
Because if you nerf it to 1, I don't think people would run it anymore. Honestly.
yeah. But that's why I have it as like 1.5. Like if it could deal 3 damage per card play off of 1 Garish hit, I think that'd be like a happy medium where it's like 1.5.
Makes some sense, man. Do you guys, Sleet or XGem, have anything else you guys would want to see from changes in the patch notes or something you think might happen?
I wrote up my own, but I
Yeah,
think
they all
we'd run
make their
way over time. But
yeah, I think we'd
essentially,
go
yeah,
super over.
yeah.
Yeah.
Any
But-
highlights you would mention?
It's funny that me and Nimbus actually came to the same idea on this, but like essentially in my own patch notes that I ran through it yesterday, I essentially removed crits and I reworked the entire morale system and essentially made it so it's easier to last stand. So like beasts, I reworked like a lot of the cards to essentially have last stand effects. So similar ideas there.
Mhm. Oh, that's actually
Interesting.
pretty cool.
I
and then-
made some
What would
like
you do,
notes
Sam?
on Beast too. I
Yeah.
think they just died too easily, and then there's 2 cards that provides a lot of shield, like Mary, and then the other
little
one,
branch, right?
Timber, was it?
Yeah.
Oh, Timber, yeah.
Timber or something. Because I think these 2 cards needs to make some changes to like be useful on the beast body, so they can like kind of stay alive, like bugs that they can stay alive by like birds, as you guys say.
Mm-hmm.
But beast, there's no way it can survive against like a
Bird
aqua
or aqua, yeah.
or bird, right?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think those 2 cards should like make some different moves for the beast to stay alive at least.
The other thing is that if you make it so that they last stand more often, like Jaguar gets way more value.
Yeah, Jaguar, Axie Kids,
That's
So,
true.
Blades, like that combo
Yeah,
becomes lethal.
So,
Yeah, I think that's pretty sick too. And then sorry, just like the last 3 things. I think Cute Bunny should only fear for 1. I think 2 is too much. And Cute Bunny has like 150 raw, which makes it like Cute Bunny alone is already a really strong bug card for tank busting. And then like if you're faster than the tank and you fear them, they can't play until like they see like all your Cute Bunnies. So I think Cute Bunny is like the most oppressive card in the game right now. Specifically to like when you pair it with like fast Axies onto a Cute Bunny. So I think either the fear should move down to 1 card play. We can keep the damage, but I think maybe the damage goes down to 100. Because it is still technically like a crowd control spell, right? Or like a disable. I think for Gravelant, I like that Gravelant is in the game. I just wish it can be cleared like removed by Biden's or blackmail. Like if you can blackmail it or Biden's it.
Dude,
That'd be
if you
pretty cool.
blackmail it, that'd be so fucked.
Yeah, if you can Bidens or blackmail it, like I think it should be moved around like a regular. Like, I think like card saver.
Blackmail is so, it's like
But, like,
back to you.
It doesn't really do anything because it's same turn, right? So if you blackmail it after you get Oh yeah, actually yeah, you can. Like there's some scenarios where you can. But like I just think what's it called? Like for these for Hatsune, for Hot Butt, for Gravelant, there should be something to make it balance. KRJTTV says make it cost 2 energy. Yeah, I think like even Gravelant being like the 2 energy card for bugs would make sense too. Because right now you can just like Gravelant, one shot them, Gravelant, one shot them again. Like I don't know. I don't like how Gravelant is right now. I think it can either like remove some shield because it also makes you kind of tanky, or like
I think it's, well, this is unpopular opinion. I think it's fine mostly because it has very polarizing matchups, right?
yeah,
It's like in these kind of games where if you think about like card games in general, it's like
Yeah.
I feel like Gravelant's like a very, very polarizing sideboard, you know? Like you tech it in for specific matchups,
Yeah.
so you can beat it. But
Yeah.
like if your opponent does the same, your Gravelant has very little value, right?
Yeah.
So it's just like I don't know. It's frustrating to play against. I understand that, and it's not fun. But I think like something for that is actually good for the game. I don't know.
So like my thing with Gravelant is if like I agree with it being a tech option, but if you're running Gravelant in high elo solo queue, that means it's no longer a tech, or like it's just overarchingly
That's
strong.
true. Yeah, that's
You know
true.
what I mean? Like
Yeah,
I think
okay.
something
I
has to be
can
touched
get
with it.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is true. I can agree with that.
All right, cool. Like same thing with like Razorbyte. Like Razorbite's a strong card against Aquas, but like
TTV says if you face the midline plant with gravel.
I haven't had issues against that team, so.
Oh, that one is cancer.
But maybe it's because it's just like the teams that I play are okay against it. So I haven't been on the receiving end of sadness. So.
Oh, I've been on the receiving end of that. It was horrible. I couldn't play anything for like I got to their I got there like round 4 and he just gravelanted me all the way to like round 10 and then killed me. Like from round 4 to 10, it was just me watching him gravel at me and like just passing. Like I was running I was running a midline plant with hot butt instead.
You should.
I mean KJRT TV. Yeah, I play a beast, but like who else is playing a beast? Like that's their fault for not playing a beast, right?
Yeah,
Beasts are considered one of the weakest classes in the game right now. So I mean, yeah.
Yeah, and then I think allergic reaction can also use like the damage reduction because right now it does like 165 off of like off body. Like this damage is too high for off body damage, I think. Because of like the base stats it gives, allergic reaction gives you like a decent shield too. And the condition's like really easy to meet. Like there's so much stuff you can like everything procs allergic reaction. If you attack into Yam round 1, now you're permanently allergic reaction range. Like I just think it's a little too much.
That makes sense.
Bored off. In my rundown, I essentially nerfed the base damage a little bit instead.
Okay.
Yeah, but
like I think the base damage is fair. Yeah, similar idea. All right. What about you, Extreme? Is there anything you want to like highlight?
I think there's another bug card I would think might have to nerf is the Pliers.
Pliers?
Oh, I think Nimbus one.
Oh yeah, I have Pliers right here. Lower damage to 100, lower bonus damage to 20. It's a shield breaking one, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Okay.
It's just like crazy against plants. If I shield, I die. If I don't shield, I die.
Yeah.
Well,
it's like
the thing is, if you lower to the numbers that Nimbus gives, it's just strictly worse than Dual Blades in every single respect. So.
Okay, so maybe like we raise the damage. But, like I think it should be like in line with like I think it should be like a little stronger against Dual Blades. So, like maybe we keep the damage bonus against shields, but we lower the base damage. So like it's really strong against shielded targets, but it's not as strong against unshielded targets. Like somewhere in that range.
KJR TTV says Pliers deals 175 with risky, right?
Oh, without risky.
Without
everything.
With it, it's like.
It's like 200 and something. Yeah. And like there's also an interaction where you can double talk procs Pliers. Yeah. So if you shield up at all against double talk, they double talk Pliers you.
That's the issue of double talk.
Yeah. obviously it's a double talk issue, but I'm just saying like that interaction is so nasty. Sticky Goo nerf too. No, I think Sticky Goo is perfectly fine. Same thing with same thing with Anesthetic Bait. Those cards are both really fair.
You guys, I think we could do this forever. I think this was pretty successful. I think there was a lot of good conversation here, and we should do
Yeah.
this again at some point. That's for sure.
Yeah.
All right.
But we've been rocking for like 2 hours now, so
Holy shit.
this is going to be like a long podcast on YouTube. It'll probably be like
Yeah.
an hour and a half on YouTube.
Yeah.
But this was good, man. I appreciate it. I appreciate everybody that came in the chat and all that. It was good talking with you, Nimbus, XGem, and Sleet, and like kind of repping the LEU. I think we should do more of these podcasts for sure.
Yeah. So yeah, we should be starting up the Axie Dream State podcast weekly from here on out, I think, right?
Yeah. And
Yes, that's the plan, guys. So yeah, I think we're still trying to decide the day, iron out the details, but we are gonna like we are starting up an LEU podcast, so that'll be like kind of like this theme where we talk about high elo insight discussion with meta.
have guests on as well.
Yeah, have guests too. So like we're always looking to get these people on.
Yeah. Well, all right, guys. I think this was a good one. I think we could call it.
All right, sick.
Yep.
That's what's up. I appreciate it. We'll talk to you all next time.
All right, yep. See you guys.
See ya.
Have a good one.
See you guys.